Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If this is the very first time you found me, yay! Finally, I've been waiting for you. And if you are a returning subscriber, yay! Thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate your support. And as always, if my reviews are helpful, give them a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe. And if you click on that little bell notification, it'll let you know every time I upload new movie reviews. You're the first to find out. So my subscribers already know that my goal is to save you time and money by giving you the scoop on filmmaking quality and content. So you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a particular film. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is actually a documentary. It's called Walk With Me. It's a documentary about early onset Alzheimer's, and it will be playing across the country, here in the United States at least, with special screenings at the Woodstock Film Festival and the AFI Fest in October 2024. Now, it doesn't have a rating because it's a documentary, but I would give it an R simply because it has 3 F-bombs, and there's a lot of talk about life and death and aging and that kind of thing. But other than that, it's not like there's horror and death and sex and drugs and rock and roll and, all that kind of stuff. Not that rock and roll is better. I really like rock and roll. But anyway, the length is an hour and 29 minutes. My overall movie review mom grade is an A. I thought it was really well done. So I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about if you watch this with your family, especially if you have someone in the family who has been diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's, or especially early onset. I'll also share funny lines, interesting lines, and we'll finish up with other films that are sort of similar that I want to recommend, that I think that you'll also like if you like this one, and vice versa. If you like the other ones, you might like this one. All right, so in a nutshell, this is a very touching documentary about a 57-year-old graphic designer, father, and community leader who discovers he has early onset Alzheimer's disease. His faithful wife, who is a saint, in my opinion, captures their journey and challenges in their new life together over 4 years that it took to make this film, which I thought was such a brilliant idea for her to document that journey, that transition into their new life. I knew that this film was going to be hard for me to watch because my own mother had passed away just last year after struggling with Alzheimer's for quite a few years. It wasn't early onset, but the progression was painful, and it runs on my mother's side of the family. So I'm doing my best to keep my mind alert and attentive and constantly working, hopefully to push back that, and hopefully I won't have it at all, but I'm also preparing myself for the day where that might happen. It's awful. But anyway, hopefully they'll have a cure or something before then. Anyway, because of that, I wanted to watch the movie, but I was also really hesitant because I knew it was going to be painful to watch. The documentary, as I mentioned, was written, directed, and produced by Heidi Levitt. She has also created other documentaries over the years, but this one I think is fantastic. And I've only seen parts of another one that she had created, and this just seems like a masterpiece of her work as her career has been progressing. And she is the wife of the man who discovered he had early onset Alzheimer's. Now, quick tips for parents. I think kids are really going to be bored unless they're older and they know someone who has Alzheimer's, because it's adults talking the entire time. This is not an action film or anything like that. There is some profanity, as I mentioned, as well as 3 F-bombs. So some of the themes that are illustrated very well are early onset Alzheimer's disease, of course, purpose in life, marriage, the human spirit, resilience, strength, patience with yourself, patience with others, positive outlook, and change. Now, there's a long list of things that I really liked about this. First of all, I love Charlie's sense of humor and positive outlook on life despite his diagnosis. Charlie's wife, Heidi, shows incredible devotion, research, and creative thinking in her approach to her husband's disease. In one interview, Charlie said about his wife, quote, "Heidi's a powerful person, but when this happened, she just kicked bleep." Oh, well, I don't swear, so I bleeped it out. But anyway, I thought that was cute. And early on, when he agreed to have her film all of this and document their whole journey, he recognized she was working really hard on this project. And then towards the end, as he was starting to change, he takes it out on her, and she just shows love, at least in the film. She shows love and immense patience, and I just was so impressed by her. It was her idea to document her husband's experience in this film. And so she is determined to investigate the illness and find solutions. And we also learn that her mother also simultaneously had some cognitive decline. She was definitely motivated. We see the Levitt family in old video clips that capture Charlie's exuberance for life as Heidi tries to ensure that their children remember their father as a vibrant man with a zest for life, because you definitely see that in those old clips. You see his feistiness in the beginning, and then towards the end, he does change. The film does a really great job of illustrating how difficult it can be for caregivers, too. A startling statistic shared in the film revealed that caregivers often die sooner than people their own age, as well as often before the patient that they're caring for dies. And I was like, yikes, that's a horrible statistic. We really need to make sure that if we are not the caregiver, that we can care for the caregiver in our life, that we know that it is paying a physical and emotional and spiritual toll on that person. We learn a lot about the tests and current research in the field of medicine through interviews with various experts in the documentary. We see maps that Charlie created years prior, and during the rolling credits at the very end of the film, we see more maps and drawings that he made as his illness progressed, which is sweet and heartbreaking at the same time. The symbolism of maps is perfect and spot on, as every person's journey through Alzheimer's is a winding road and a little bit different. The analogy ties in beautifully with the title. You can see Charlie's Instagram post at Chess Design if you want to follow him. You can learn more about the film at walkwithme.com. Now, on to the list of things that I didn't like. Honestly, I had a really hard time finding things I didn't like about the film, other than it was hard for me to watch. But because Alzheimer's is such a cruel disease that robs people of their mental abilities and independence and is relentless in its progression, the film can be very depressing, especially if you have a loved one in your family going through this. The ending is not a happy one, as you can imagine. So whenever I watch movies, I write down funny lines and interesting lines, simply so you can get a taste for the dialogue and the script writing quality and all of that. And I have all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can go there, but I'll share some of them with you right now. So one of the funny lines that I wrote down was, at the very end of the film, we see these words written on the screen by Ralph Waldo Emerson clear back in 1884. And he said, "I have lost my faculties, but I am perfectly fine. I eat pie for breakfast every day." And I was like, that's not so bad. And then for interesting lines, there were so many. One is spoken by the assistant professor of neurology at Harvard Medical School. And what she said kind of stunned me. She said, quote, "We just don't understand the brain as well as you think." Oh, no, I said that wrong. Delete that line. Delete, 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 delete. She said, quote, "We just don't understand the brain as well as you would think. Yikes," end quote. Well, the yikes was me, not her. And then there was the photographer who was so lovely and so sweet. And he documented a lot of people in a photographic book who were going through Alzheimer's in one way or another. And so he was photographing Charlie. And anyway, one of the things he said to Charlie was, "The diagnosis isn't the end of the story. It's just the next chapter." And I just thought that was such a sweet thing to say to someone who was going through that. And then another thing that Heidi said was, "Sometimes I feel like my children didn't get to know the Charlie I fell in love with." And you can tell that she so wants them to see him as that younger, vibrant man, as I mentioned earlier. And I love that she included that in the film, because that is a record for her children forever. And then another thing that she said was, "Alzheimer's crept up and through him." And I thought that that was an interesting way to describe what was happening to her husband. Charlie had lots of funny, interesting things to say. And he said, I've decided that there's no shame in this. You can grow and new things come out of it. If you lose a part of your body, it regenerates and you figure out new ways to find the truth that you're looking for. It was very artistic. And in the end, it looked like he was getting really creative and artistic and working on those kinds of projects as well, partly because he wasn't working anymore in his career. And he explains that at the beginning of the movie, that he finally admitted he couldn't do his job anymore. And then Heidi again says, the patient is doing the best they can, and the caregiver is doing the best she can, which is absolutely true. Another interesting element of the film is when Heidi Levitt says, as much as Charlie is losing himself, sometimes I don't see me, because she is 100% immersed in this new journey in their life and Charlie, and making sure he has everything he needs. And sometimes he wanders off and gets lost and she's got to find him. And all of the caregiving that she has to do has completely absorbed everything in her life. And I thought that that was a really valid point that she made. And then another heartbreaking thing she said was, I'm holding on to what he has left. And then she says, I still have the way he made me feel, years prior when he was younger and they fell in love, and the life that they shared together. I'm going to get all teary-eyed just thinking about it. Whew. Okay, before I turn into a sobbing mess. So here are some recommendations for other films that are very similar. So the first movie that I remember seeing about early onset Alzheimer's was called Still Alice. Now, it is a Hollywood production, fantastic cast, some humor, but again, it's the similar journey where it's devastating to watch someone disappear right before your eyes, but really fantastic. Another one, totally different version, is called Sleeping Dogs. I recently reviewed that one, and in fact, I'm going to cue that one up so you can watch it. Now, the Still Alice is a fictional film, movie, a feature film, and then Sleeping Dogs is as well, but it's really more of kind of a horror slasher mystery thriller kind of thing, starring Russell Crowe, and it is really interesting and very well done, I thought, minus all the blood and gore. I never really appreciate that. And then the last one is a documentary, and it's called Have You Heard About Greg? And it's a very similar story where you're watching a documentary about a man as he is going through Alzheimer's, dementia, and all of that. All right, so there you have it. Hopefully you'll enjoy this film. I don't know if I can say you'll enjoy it, but you'll appreciate so much of the information in it, and you'll appreciate the artistry that Heidi created in honor of her husband, who was always so artistic in his career, and I love that. All right, so when you get a minute, visit me on all the socials. I'm everywhere. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in a minute. Bye for now.